When a series of shipping disasters points to a mysterious sea monster, Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson leave the comfort of Baker Street and board a freighter where they encounter unexpected betrayal and come face to face with the enigmatic Captain Nemo and his submarine, the Nautilus. As they delve deeper into the case, they uncover a conspiracy involving a Russian Tsar with an airship that rains destruction on unsuspecting cities. With time running out and the world on the brink of war, the heroes must use all their skills and resources to stop a massive conspiracy and prevent global conflict. From Eisner-winning writer Mike Barron and illustrator Richard Bong, dive into the depths of adventure and unravel the mysteries of the sea with the world's greatest detective in Leviathan. Order now on Fund My Comic.
Star Trek will not be presented tonight, so that we may bring you the following special program.
Entertainment news today. It's such a dragon gay. Everything sucks and it's no good. That comes out of Hollywood. But there's one place you can go to get all your news and info, and maybe even have a laugh or two. You know it's true. Midnight's Edge After Dark is life. We're stand for nerds and geeks, we will survive. From Star Wars to Jurassic Park, it's Midnight's Edge After Dark. All those bombs and flops, but need never stops. We will keep going through the night as we keep up the culture fight. Midnight's Edge After Dark is life. We stand for nerds and geeks, we will survive. From Star Wars to Jurassic Park, it's Midnight's Edge After Dark.
Welcome once again to Midnight's Edge After Dark, live on the YouTubes. Hello, everybody. Once again, I'm Tom Connors. We have Mikey, the Mexican Iron Man. Why are you Mexican Iron Man?
Because Tom, I want to make sure everybody gets my pronouns correct, please. Thank you.
You are a DEI expert.
I am.
Just don't call a Packer fan a cunt.
No. I saw that. I got caught up on that today. Ooh.
You saw that? Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I got caught up on all those videos. Whoa.
I don't agree with it, but at the same time, if you're going to be a DEI consultant,
dude, that was like, tell the people what they're missing, Tom.
So yeah, apparently some Seattle Seahawks fan who called a Packer fan a cunt got fired from their job as a DEI consultant.
You know, Tom, it's almost like, gosh, Tom, it's almost like you would think that these people, some of these people might be a bit hypocritical. I don't know.
I mean, like I said, I don't call me a cunt for being a Packer fan. I don't care, but you live by the sword. I mean, hey. But anyhow, how you doing with your Oakland A's over there?
Well, we are currently, like all things in California, my Oakland A's are homeless. We no longer have a stadium. This will be the first baseball season where our Oakland A's do not have an official home. We are merely using a piece of crap minor league ballpark, which is actually nicer than the piece of crap big league ballpark we left. So as baseball season fast approaches, I'm wearing black. Yeah.
Fitting, but we're glad to have you here, even if you are a DEI expert.
Yes. I'm Mexican Iron Man.
We actually have some baseball news that crosses over tonight, but we'll get to that shortly. We got CC Karaoke here as well, the Canadian karaoke guru. How you doing?
Doing all right. Just, been working on stuff. Glad to be here.
You're Universal's biggest enemy right now, I hear.
No comment.
Anyhow, we'll get into that maybe later, but we're glad to have you here. How you doing otherwise?
Good. Actually, yeah, not bad. Thanks.
Well, good to hear. We also have another Canadian with us, your brethren in Script Doctor. How you doing?
Staying warm, shoveling snow. And
can't wait till you're America too.
That'd be something. It'd be cool.
Well, he's already making it the Gulf of America.
Well, yeah, that's weird. It's like I wonder how some of the people who have are they going to like dead name it the Gulf of Mexico? Then is that what the politics are behind it now?
I don't know. I think it's the first step in him just buying Mexico and getting it over with.
Oh, God. Yeah, you really want to buy a property that's full of corruption.
Now that's where you clean it out and you just turn it into one big resort.
I don't know if you can clean it out, man. I mean, as much as I love the U.S. troops, their track record in the 21st century is 0-2.
We just need Rambo and Jason Statham, and we're good to go.
Those are actors; they're not.
Don't ruin it for him. Tom doesn't know that they're not real.
Next thing you'll be telling me that Rocky is not a real boxer.
Oh.
And he single-handedly ended the Cold War. Thank you very much. With the help of Rambo, who blew up helicopters.
And I guess, Tango and Cash chimed in as well, right? Yeah.
No, they're just DEI agents. But we have a 70s rock fan here, speaking of DEI agents, who's possibly won at one point or another. I'm sure.
In the ovine division, yes.
The bovine division?
No, the ovine. No B, just ovine.
Oh, is ovine what it is for sheep?
It is, yeah. In the ovine division. Of course, well, it's good to be here. It's the first time in a few attempts.
It has been a tick.
It has, and
is this your first time this year, or did you make it to at least one show so far?
My first time this year, in a number of things, on a number of fronts. But I'm obviously, as a Canadian citizen, I am looking forward to an event that's just a week away now. That's going to be huge, possibly the hugest thing this year. Is of course Shoresy season 4. So,
but I thought you were like an Asian, Scottish.
I'm
British,
Korean, really. I'm a roof
student of philosophy and DNA.
I am, yes. I have examined a lot of ovine DNA.
You're John Hammond.
And I was just looking at that Sherlock Holmes intro you've got there, the fine-looking comic. But the plot does sound a bit like Nick Rivers talking to Hilary Flamand in Top Secret.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds just like that. Yeah, I'm not the only guy to have met a girl 15 years ago, etc., etc.
Well, and you're going to be talking about that this week, or did you already talk about it?
That will be on Monday, yes.
Monday.
A bit of a belated tribute to Jim Abrahams, yes. They're all dropping like flies.
Yeah, no kidding. We're going to talk about that in just a minute, but we got one more individual to introduce, but he's got 32 flavors. Nick Weiser, how you doing?
Hey, Tom. Doing okay. Had a very busy day. I cranked out some videos this week. I think I'm going to have a third video before the week ends, and it's been all things coming up Millhouse at home. So how are you, sir?
I'm curious why Superman would wear a mask outside.
Oh, God, Tom King.
Oh, yeah,
of course Tom King would do that, too. Oh, man. Leave it to Tom King to put a Kung Flu China virus mask on Superman. You can stop the scamdemic. Oh, dude, I saw.
And what's funny is I had some idiot in the chat say, well, he could still be a super spreader.
No, of course. Remember when we say that these people have no imagination?
Well, they said a spreader, and then somebody came back with the pun. You mean a super spreader? Bum. But yeah, the other guy was like dead serious. I'm like, are you fucking serious right now?
That's the thing. They have no imagination. They think what goes on in their real life is what needs to translate into what goes on the page, because they can't have a story where things like that don't happen or can't happen. It needs to literally reflect them. Hence why they give so much attention to the representation trash, because, how dare Superman not look or act like them?
They're not capable of abstract thought, Nick.
No, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. They have no imagination.
Well, DC. So Tom King broke a unwritten rule with DC, which is that Marvel is the world outside your window. DC is not. DC is a fictional, like very rigidly defined as a fictional alternate Earth. Like it doesn't even have the same geography as our Earth. There's countries there that do not exist here.
That's true. Black Adam has
so you don't have to play by the rules of, oh, there's a China pandemic happening, and you don't play by the same rules that we have. Like you can definitely do a big pandemic virus that Superman is trying to stop. That's interesting. You just don't use the same techniques that we use. You find out, oh, is it a supervillain? No, maybe, sure, it can be an evil totalitarian government. Great. Superman wants to find a way to prevent that, and if he doesn't have the wits to it and his Kryptonian technology can't decipher it, then at least he's probably coordinating and moving the most brilliant minds of the world all together so that they can try and work on this thing at the same time. And maybe there's a supervillain that's out there to take advantage of that so that they can reign supreme.
Well, the problem is
about creativity.
Yeah, well,
these people don't have creativity. They need it to be, look, he's reacting to the scamdemic. He needs to do what we're all doing and needs to have the same fear like we're all doing. You actually came up with the idea based on thought. And, oh, okay, this is a unique situation. These people don't think like that.
Well, not just that. Let's be real here. Superman don't get COVID.
Yeah,
COVID gets Superman. That's
like Chuck Norris.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Or if you want to take it up a notch, what if it's a Kryptonian virus that managed to grow off of the Kal-El's spaceship and it actually has now affected humans? Now Superman feels responsible, and now he's got to solve it. That's a more interesting story. Because also Superman can be vulnerable to that Kryptonian disease because it still has that super-powered infusion of Earth's atmosphere and sun that can actually affect him too. So now he's in it with everybody else. And so many better ways to actually explore such a story that
I have a
Tom
Superman
King, the
story.
CIA plant, could never come up with.
Hey, Script, what about a Superman story where Superman goes on a journey to discover his pronouns?
Kryptonians don't have he, him for a masculine. They got something else as a word.
Superman gets the sniffles and he sneezes. Does he destroy an entire building?
If he doesn't cover his mouth.
So maybe that's what the mask was for.
I've sent you to Earth, my only son, to find your pronouns and figure out who you are. Are you a Z-Zem?
Wait, wouldn't that make it difficult to not, like, do anything without hurting somebody? That's a hell of a
that's
bone.
the whole, wasn't it, can't remember the science fiction author who wrote the story about that, like Superman, Man of Steel, Woman of Kleenex. him and Lois Lane.
No, like in the first season of Lois and Clark, where Superman gets amnesia, there's actually a brilliant bit where he sneezes and doesn't quite cover his mouth. And what ends up happening is a cab that's pulling away ends up getting drifted off to the side of the road and hits a fire hydrant because of the gust of wind that came out of Superman's nostrils. It's a really funny bit, but it's like, yeah, that's how powerful and dangerous Superman, if he's ever sick or sneezes, can get.
Let's see what you guys are talking about in the chat already, because ActionCom brings this up. Says, I call BS. Every writer, especially those who read How to Write books, knows that you have to write what you know about. Otherwise, you look idiotic. Well, not only that, like Script is right. You don't want to do it right on the nose, right? You can come up with an allegory. You can come up with another way of doing it that's telling a similar story but makes sense. You know, it's just making it too real world. And that was another reason that was like one of the rules back in the day why you couldn't have Superman get involved with World War II.
Yeah.
Or anything like that, because it demeans both the idea of the troops who are actually losing their lives and fighting, and it also just kind of Superman would end the war in 10 seconds. Yeah. And they kind of comment on that in Watchmen, right? Where basically what's his face comes in and just demolishes the Vietnamese of Vietnam or whatever. Like, yeah.
Oh, pretty much. I mean, heck, there was a Superman-like script. I mean, it wasn't Superman, but there's a script that came out years ago, and it had a Superman-like character who literally was conscripted by the U.S. Army and then dropped into the middle of Germany, and he won the war. And then, but this Superman-like character was also a criminal with the mob. And the Batman-like character of this was using all of his resources to actually just drive the Superman-like character nuts. It's actually a really good script, but it could never have been made because obviously the powers and the relationships were very close to the DC characters. But heck of a great story, great lines to it as well.
Yeah, and Jay Price brings up the Superman 4 problem. Well, it's got, I think you and I have had this discussion before, script, where it's basically like, look, the idea of Superman trying to do what he does in Superman 4 isn't a bad idea, and they do come to a decent conclusion. It was just horribly executed because he kind of figures out by the end of the movie he can't. There's nothing he can do to stop this.
To do it, right?
And it's not his place to do it. Yeah.
Because, well, that actually just goes into the same thing as why superheroes shouldn't kill, because it's not their place to do it. They're there to help. They're here to mitigate damage and solve problems, but it is up to you, the people, to dish out the punishment.
If Superman could guard against and defeat all possible known threats of any kind, then he's basically a god, and that's...
Yeah.
I have a dumb question, which is that what are we talking about that Superman was wearing a mask?
Oh, you haven't seen this yet? Okay, I'll bring this up. I
have no idea. I'm just playing along.
I thought you were aware of this.
I wish. I thought he was just going along with. Wow. Oh God.
Well, no, but it is a good point.
Didn't know.
It is a good point for those who are not aware of it.
It's based off a recent ongoing DC series written by Tom King, which I'm sure you've heard the name Tom King. And it's off a character named Jenny Szwarc from the DC Wildstorm universe. And they have brought her into, I think, these mainstay continuity. And, well, Superman's in a situation. Now, I don't know the full context of all this. I just know she has a current series that Tom King is writing. And this is some that's included. But that's at least some of the basic stuff that I know.
I mean, I'll take the other side for a second here. And if we're talking about Superman sneezing on fire hydrants and shit, he could sneeze in the air and spread the disease all across the city.
All right, so for those of us playing at home, you're telling me that Darkseid is not an undefeatable threat, but somehow COVID might be.
Okay, listen to this. It goes, let me put on the voice.
All right.
For fuck's sake, when are you gonna fix this?
And Superman says, it's a virtue. I can't punch it.
It's a virus. I can't punch it.
A virus with a
it's a virus, same thing.
9 chances.
Virus and virtue is not the same thing.
In this case, it is.
You can probably punch a virtue.
It's tiny on my screen, okay?
That's what she
You
said.
could!
No.
Fuck this fucking thing! I can't breathe! I can't talk!
Well, it is written by the
This is the dumbest writing I've ever seen in my life. What the fuck?
As we know, there is only one king. One king.
Actually, you know what Superman would say? He'd go, I may not be able to punch this virus, but I know somebody who can punch it out. Let me go get Batman.
No, it'd be the Atom. The Atom would do it.
Or the Atom could do it too.
Yeah,
there you
Ray
go.
Palmer. Yeah, Ray Palmer would. Yeah, he'd go mini size, and he'd take care of the virus. So this is what we're talking about, Mike. He had to attend to something. He said in the private.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, anyway, we're done with this anyhow, so we're going to stop that. We got Price joining us. How you doing, Mr. Price of Reason? We got a full house tonight. How you doing?
Yeah. Hey, how's it going, man?
We were just talking about some of the randomness. How you been?
Good. I saw Wolfman.
Oh, no.
Yeah. No, I saw it.
And?
You know, it's just okay, I guess. It's not like it's great. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen.
Does he ever totally wolf out, or does he look like a hobo through the whole goddamn thing?
Yeah.
There's our answer.
There's sometimes no answer is the answer.
Hobo wolf.
Is he as good as Oliver Reed in the Hammer horror version?
No, never.
I don't think so. It doesn't look... No, I feel like whatever you described, but if I just look at it, it's a movie. It's a movie that's just kind of okay. I didn't suffer watching it. You kind of know what you're signing up for. It's one of those Blumhouse pictures that they do for a low budget, and it's sort of just good enough to be watched, I guess.
Sounds like they should have called it Man Wolf instead of Wolf Man. But anyway, Brian, sorry.
And I was just going to say, it's exactly what you would expect it to be then.
Kind of. It's kind of what I thought it would be. It didn't sort of excel. Maybe I thought it would be worse than this, but I thought it would be like really bad. And at the end, it was just kind of okay. Like kind of, we really don't have many compliments to give it. It's kind of just there.
So it's inoffensively meh?
Something like that.
Yes. But does he have any transformation music like Bad Moon Rising or Blue Moon?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No, nothing like that.
Was there any trans music in it?
No, I don't think there was. No.
Was there any woke shit in it? Was like man bad shit in it?
No. Okay. Here's the one thing that I can say that actually, the guy who was the father is very protective of his daughter, and I don't think that in that case they want to show like man bad. I think that like until a certain part of the movie when certain things happen, it seems like he really cares about his family. I mean, they do have him kind of unemployed where his wife is more successful than him, and he's kind of more...
She looked like Woke City from the trailer, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it would be worse, though. I thought it would be like more Woke City, and I think that it wasn't as...
Maybe it was dumbed down a bit.
It's not Wolf Mam, then.
I was
Wolf
thinking
Man.
of that. It's not Wolf Mam, and it's not whatever. It's not over the top. I didn't think that it would... They didn't just make her like a girl boss. I think that there was a part there that she really does care about her husband. Her husband does really care about his daughter and about his family. I didn't think that they were just doing the usual kind of middle finger to men or anything like that. But at the same time, it's not like a groundbreaking movie or anything. It's just kind of, you kind of expect at every point to know exactly what's going to happen, and then it happens. Even the quote-unquote twists, whatever you want to call them, even them, I saw them coming from a mile away.
Wow.
So then they really wouldn't be twists.
Not really, no. But still, like, it's January. There aren't a lot of movies. I figured they probably dumped this movie around now because they don't have a lot of other movies. And horror movies, it's a genre that some audiences are willing to go see. There were even some people in the theater now when I saw it. I don't think it's going to make like a gazillion dollars, but probably with lack of anything else coming out, maybe a few people will go watch it.
There you go. There's
I feel like that is high praise coming from
Wow, what an...
No, it's not like that. I know you're thinking,
No,
it's probably like fantastic if he said it's men. No, I think I'm pretty good at evaluating. It's an almost serviceable enough movie for this genre or whatever it is, but it's not spectacular.
So basically, still not as good as The Accountant.
Actually,
on a level
it's not
of
as
The
good as...
Accountant to the Morbius. What level are we talking here?
Okay. I think it's better than Morbius, but I will give Mikey this. It's not as good as The Accountant. The Accountant...
But what is?
So you'd give it 3 Morbiuses out of 10 accountants.
Do I give him what?
3 Morbiuses out of 10 accountants.
3 Morbiuses out of 10? I don't know. It's Morbius is just dumb and stupid and doesn't, make any sense. This one... It tries to take itself seriously. I think that Julia Garner, the lady actress, I think that she's a good character actress, which really helps sell whatever you're looking at because she is a good actress. But nothing really stands out. I'm probably going to forget about this movie within the next 5 minutes.
All right. Well,
which movie?
What was I talking about? Yeah, I don't know.
Well, let's get into the sadder news of the day because, as I told Mikey, things do cross over into baseball news. So let's start here. Because this one was one that hit hard for Wisconsin today.
What?
We lost Bob Uecker. Yeah, the voice of baseball, the man himself. Bob Uecker passed away at the age of 90. So, yeah, his family announced it on Facebook.
Oh, my God. Mr. Baseball.
Yeah, they even had a nice little tribute to him here I'm going to bring up.
He was 90, which at least,
That's a good run.
It's a good run.
It's a good run. But, here's a...
Damn. I'm no fan of the Brewers or, I'm not from Wisconsin. Dude, this sucks. Just a bit outside.
I was just going to say, as I said on my Twitter this morning, I said, hopefully he goes straight to heaven and not just a bit outside.
Yep. God, he's such a great guy. He's funny, hilarious. The stuff he did in the community that never got reported about. This guy was like, he was a one-man walking ambassador of baseball, an ambassador of Wisconsin, ambassador for the Brewers, and just an all-around nice guy to people. Yeah. I mean, oh my God.
And most people probably know him from the Miller commercials and, of course, Mr. Belvedere, but
we show in Bourbon,
and of course, Major League, but yeah.
The Miller Lite stuff's funny.
Oh, man. Wow.
But the news keeps getting worse, sadly, but yeah, I just want everybody. I know, Price, you brought it up this morning too. You were the one who actually learned it from by seeing it on your Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, the one with Bob Uecker or the one with David Lynch?
Bob Uecker.
Well, the Bob Uecker one, I was just writing that everybody was saying he was Mr. Baseball, but my introduction to him was actually Mr. Belvedere. It's a show that I really liked growing up, and he was funny in it. I mean, he was legitimately, good in a comedic sort of actor way on that show. And he also did those beer commercials. That was also a thing.
Mm.
So he was really a guy that you saw all over the place.
Yeah.
I've got one of those beer commercials lined up if you were interested.
Yeah, go ahead and throw it up.
Let me just share that with you. Hang on.
All 4. All 5.
Miller.
All
it's
6.
It's VHS quality, but it's...
Well, that's all that we had back then.
Yeah, Grandma and I play it all the time on Bourbon.
Hey, stop daydreaming, buddy. The Olympics are on.
Mike Ditka.
There's a name from the past, yeah. He will be missed. Anybody else want to say anything about the Uke before we move on?
It's pretty sad, yeah.
Rest in peace, legendary voice, man. What a voice.
Yeah, that. I mean, there are in every sport there are certain voices that define the sport, and it just doesn't feel like it. You need it. You need that specific voice there. For
besides Harry Carey, he probably is the most famous voice in baseball, I'd imagine.
Oh, yeah.
And there are people that transcend all team supports that people like. There are certain individuals in sport that everybody likes, regardless of team affiliation. That's quite rare.
Right.
And you had that,
Well, and I think Major League also helped bring him on a national level as far as baseball goes. Everybody in the Miller Lite commercials, and then Mr. Belvedere was a pretty popular show for a while, so he will be missed. And
it was a good kind of counterbalance. I mean, you had Mr. Belvedere, who was like all snooty and whatever, like the snooty butler, and then you had Bob Uecker.
Who's a sports journalist, if I remember.
I can't even remember what his name was on the show because he's just Bob Uecker.
But I can't remember what their last name was.
Everybody knew it was Bob Uecker. In any case,
because it was kind of like him and Mr. Belvedere show at the same time. That was kind of
right.
The cool thing about
I
it.
mean, exactly the show, the whole show. The point is that Uecker was the exact opposite of Mr. Belvedere. He was kind of this everyman guy. And that guy was like a butler that used to work for the Queen or something.
Yeah. And
they would always kind of bicker between them because they didn't see eye to eye on things. And that's actually what the comedy came from. And I haven't watched that show in a long time, but as a kid, I did find it funny.
They did release the first couple seasons. I did have them. I don't know if I still do. Oh, it held up pretty well. It's actually a remake of an old, I think, British film series, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe
it's probably on a book series, but and like I said, because you know how usually the comedian is kind of like the main focal point of the show, but yeah, that was like he was the comedian, but then the other guy was, like you said, it was kind of this odd couple kind of scenario in their group, and it worked so well. But yeah, for me, it was also growing up, being the Brewers. But when I worked in radio, all summer long, I had to run the radio I had to run the Brewer games. So I'd listen to Bob all day long. And
wow.
Of course, I was even there during when it was getting to the point where he was doing the first 6 innings and then he'd leave until the 9th. So then his co-host would take over and stuff like that. So, but yeah, that was my whole summer in 99.
Is it fair to say that he's the most famous person from Wisconsin?
Unfortunately, or fortunately for those who are probably a bit more famous, like Gene Wilder, probably not, but he's up there.
Yeah, but Gene Wilder's not known for being from Wisconsin.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
everybody.
but as far as being from Wisconsin, no. And I don't even know if is he from Wisconsin originally? I just know he played for the Milwaukee Braves when they were still in Milwaukee, and that's the reason why he took over as the Brewers announcer. And I think that was either late 70s or early 80s when that happened. Because, he's been doing it now for 40, 50 years, somewhere in there. And then now recent years, he just comes in and does, the last few innings or does an inning or two. But, yeah, I don't even know if he did any this last year at all. But because I think he had been sort of sick. So this wasn't even exactly a surprise, but it's just sad. But, yeah. Orson Welles is also from Wisconsin. I mean, there's a lot of famous people, even Mark Ruffalo. But as far as, for being famous for being from Wisconsin, you're probably right, Mike. That's probably true.
I mean, because when I think of him,
he is from Wisconsin.
I instantly think of Wisconsin. Just instantly.
But then we got another bit of sad news. Jeannot Szwarc passed away as well. I guess this happened yesterday. And he was 85. Now, you may also know him from directing not just Jaws 2, but Supergirl as well.
Oh.
Yep, a few others.
Yeah. A few other things.
I'm one of the few people that actually enjoyed Supergirl as a kid.
He's not a bad director. He's pretty competent.
Yeah.
I don't know why everybody hated Supergirl. When I was a kid, I liked Superman so much that
because the U.S. theatrical cut sucks ass. That's why.
You know what? I actually saw it the first time. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen it in the U.S. I saw it outside the U.S.
Well, the international cut's been the version that's been available for most of its lifespan.
What was the difference? The international version is the one I saw, and I thought it was fine. I mean,
it's like 15, 20 minutes longer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's even the director's cut, which is even longer, but yeah.
Well, what did they remove out of it? I feel like the one that I watched internationally was good. Why did they cut it?
It's cut down to like an hour and 45 minutes. The theatrical US cut. And then I couldn't tell you what's different because I haven't seen the US cut in probably 35, 40 years, maybe more.
All I can say is that I saw it outside. I was a young kid, but I mean, I saw it outside the US, and people at that time that had watched it also outside the US that I was, had interacted with, everybody around me thought it was a pretty fun movie. I mean, I was a little kid, but even adults, even people around me, I think that it wasn't as poorly received, I think, as here in the US.
Oh no, yeah, I think it did better outside.
I seem to remember enjoying it pretty much in the UK.
But I never knew that I got a different cut. I got the full movie then. I didn't get the crappy
Yeah, the
US
international
release.
cut's like 2 hours and 5 minutes, something
Great,
like that.
yeah. I probably loved every minute of it.
I mean, it's still pretty much the same movie, but you're losing a lot of the character development and some of the setup for the bad guys. And
everyone's dying today.
It was good casting too. Helen Slater, I liked Helen Slater as Supergirl. I think that Helen Slater is the best Supergirl we've ever had.
I would agree.
Everyone's dying.
I hate laughing at that, but yeah. But then also they have the director's cut or TV cut or whatever you want to call it, which is on the old
basically they have
DVD. It's like it's a little longer. Yeah.
They still haven't been able to cast a Superman that's better than Christopher Reeve, and in addition, they haven't found a Supergirl that was better than Helen Slater. I'm not saying
that was the only good part of Flash was getting to see those two on screen, even if it was CGI.
It was such bad CGI. That was like we went into Grok. It looked like we went into Grok.
The still images look nice, though. That's the thing. It's like, okay, at least we get to see them together in the same shot.
I guess.
All right, Bryce.
Yeah, I'm not going to say much more than that.
Nicolas Cage was a freaking alive, and all they could get was him looking almost 100% CG. He looked bad in CG, and he should have looked great. Oh, was he actually not there?
No, he was.
No,
not
they did film him. Nicolas Cage, they filmed him, but then he said that they did something weird, and they didn't even use the footage of him. That they did all this weird CGI stuff, and he wasn't even happy with what he saw in The Flash.
Yeah, what they technically filmed was an elaborate scan of his body and face. And then they manipulated it to whatever they needed.
Make him look younger, too, on top of it. But Jaws 2, actually, I think is an undersung sequel. Like, I think it gets, or I should say, it gets a lot more shit than it deserves. It's actually pretty good, in my opinion. And I think Jeannot had the right idea.
And then
he had the right idea going into it. He knew he couldn't recreate Jaws 1. So he's like, I'm going to show the shark a lot. Right? Like,
it's from the point of view of the shark.
It almost is. You're not kidding. He actually figured out, you know what? Let's put a fucking saddle on this bastard.
Yeah.
He did. And we got POV from the shark.
And he made the great Somewhere in Time, which is a
That's true. That's
movie.
right. I forgot all about
Fabulous
that
movie. Yeah. So that is a good one. Yeah, Jaws 2's aged better than we would have imagined at the time, I think.
Well, I think it helps that the kids are all pretty decent character actors. And again, they're not just trying to redo the first film, which helps, you know, so.
I don't like it when people die. It reminds me that we're all going to die.
Well, unfortunately, we do have another sad passing. This one hit everybody real hard. Mr. David Lynch.
Yeah.
78.
What?
Yep.
Yeah.
The David Lynch?
The David Lynch. Dune, Twin Peaks, Eraserhead.
Holy
Blue
shit.
Velvet.
The Straight Story. Beautiful movie.
You leave the internet
I
for a
totally
day and
agree with you,
everyone's just
70s.
freaking dying.
The Straight Story gets overlooked, but that is a fantastic
It's a beautiful.
I think it's actually getting a
film.
4K release finally.
It's a very human, very emotional. As is Elephant Man, of course.
That,
I mean,
that
people-
starts in Wisconsin, don't it? Or is he's on his way to Wisconsin?
think
One of the
he's-
two. I can't remember.
Oh, is it in Wisconsin? I can't
Wild
remember.
at
His brother's either in
It's in the
Wisconsin or he's.
prairies.
Yeah.
But I mean, everyone focuses on the weird shit. But I mean, if you look at Elephant Man and Straight Story, very human, very emotional, touching stories, told with a lot of heart and emotion. So he had
Yeah.
a great range. Wasn't just weird shit.
And then I like his Dune. His Dune still,
Oh,
especially
Dune's
after the
great.
second film now, is the better Dune.
The recut one is great.
I'd have to rewatch it because I wasn't really wild about the original Dune at the time, but I didn't exactly dislike either. It was just kind of like there for me. But I did
gotta
like
see his-
Wild at Heart and Twin Peaks. Those were good.
Oh yeah, Wild at Heart. Yeah,
God,
even
yeah.
everybody's been coming out. Like Nicolas Cage said something about working with him. You know, everybody who's worked with him has
Oh, I
said
gotta
so many
work with
great things
him.
about him. You know, I mean, just Nick said it was the greatest time he ever had making a movie, and I could see that because those two would be like a pea in a pod, or two peas in a pod.
Right? They seem like
Right,
they seem like a yin and yang together. Oh, I like you, David.
Isn't it funny how the sun is like a big light bulb? I think about that every day. They would just sit there and talk for hours about weird shit. I would love to hear that conversation.
And I'd listen to it. I'd listen to every minute of it. Even if it was like 4 hours long, I'd listen to all of it.
Oh man, I'm gonna miss him because he used to do every day. He'd come on and do his number of the day, and he'd do the weather. I think he was in Sacramento or wherever it was, but like he'd do the local weather and he'd do the number of the day. I don't know what the number of the day meant. He would just pick a number.
Was it the number
And he'd be
3?
like, yeah, it was just whatever day. He goes, the number of the day is 23. You know, like just, I'm not kidding. He would just pick a number. I don't know what for. I never caught what for, but yeah. But yeah,
He did a lot of painting, and he added numbers to those paintings. Apparently,
And numbers mean a lot to him. I'm sure it meant something. I just don't know what. Probably some astrology thing or something or other.
Did some music too. It's got an
Oh yeah,
album
he did a
or
lot of
few.
music.
Yeah.
Yeah, very avant-garde. But there's not many guys like David Lynch left.
Oh no, he's
He-
definitely one of a kind.
Yeah, had his own canvas, did his own thing. Yeah, he did some stuff for studios, but always on his own terms. Generally on his own terms.
And then he came to television and changed television.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, can you guys? I mean, Twin Peaks when that was on TV.
Revolutionary show, in my opinion.
It was a phenomenon, yeah.
That is true, right? Like they didn't make shows.
Never
like
seen
that.
anything like that at
It's a
the
great
time.
restaurant as well.
Wait, what? They made a restaurant. based
You've
on
never
that
been
show?
to a Twin Peaks restaurant, Mike?
No.
I haven't either, but I
Oh.
know about these. Okay, picture a Hooters, but classy.
But with class.
Wait, what?
Think Hooters,
Wait, what?
but classy.
It's nothing to do with David Lynch, though. That was just.
It has nothing to do with David Lynch.
Why would David Lynch open up a bunch of shows?
He
called-
didn't.
He didn't.
Someone just used the
That would have been
name
a very different
wait,
Lynch
restaurant.
Peaks, but classy.
Oh, I get what the peaks means.
Have any of you
You'll
ever been?
like it.
Have any of you ever been to the Tilted Kilt?
Oh yes,
No.
many times.
Yes, I've been to a
yes.
tilted kilt.
Tilted Kilt, that
There's one
sounds
in
like the place
Toronto.
where you were born, Brian.
It was pretty tilted, but you know, that's the way you get the excess, isn't it? By tilting the kilt.
That's right.
Yeah.
I know how to
so-
tilt.
His
the
mother just
kilt.
tilted her kilt and dropped him
I'm
out.
pretty sure I've seen Script
know how to
Doctor on
tilt
the one
the
in
kilt.
Toronto many times.
What,
He's not
Mikey?
listening.
I know how to tilt the kilt. To kilt the.
Script
It was funny
Doctor?
the first time I tried it. I can't do it now.
You
A
kilted tilt.
So wait, Script Doctor goes to Tilted Kilt?
I just said I've seen him in the one in Toronto many
Is that a
times.
gay bar?
No,
The
it's
doctor does not go to those kinds.
it's a bar where you have ladies wearing skirts and shirts, tight shirts, and
Completely derailed this discussion on.
Yeah, you have. But
sad
no,
day.
David
wonder-
Lynch would probably appreciate it in a way.
Are they going to shut those down though? I feel like,
I
you know,
think
I
most
went
of
to
them
it
are
before
gone.
all the, 2017 Me Too's and all that stuff. Do they
they're
even
still
still have?
around.
There's
There's
still a
one
few.
about 25 minutes from home. I've never.
Nick,
I
I don't believe you. You should take me.
Still a lot of Twin Peaks.
Down to
'cause they're
Illinois.
based in. They were. I thought Twin Peaks was based in Texas and in the south, so they're probably not going to shut those down.
I didn't
I
think
could
I
be
would
wrong,
like
though.
the Tilted Kilt, but never mind. But then I went to it and I actually thought it was very pleasant. But let's go back. I don't want to take us off topic.
It's very easy to do.
The ladies there, they seemed rather pleasant,
I'm
but
going to Nick's house. Nick knows where it's at.
That's the thing is the guys.
There is
there
some
can
in
wear
North
the same
Carolina.
outfit. Yeah, the guys can wear the same outfit in the tilted kilt as the ladies. It's fully equal. It's very
Mike-
all the,
Mikey.
no, the guys
How
aren't
far-
wearing kilts there.
How far are you from Concord or Winston-Salem? They got
It's
Twin
a road
Peaks.
trip planned.
No, way too fucking far.
Okay, well, those are the two Twin Peaks near you, it
But
sounds
anyway,
like.
the
I'll
television
I'll
show.
find one in Southern California. I'm going to Southern California this weekend.
Oh, I'm sure there's some that, well,
Well, I mean, what
Hey.
what has been burned down, you know.
that's what I was kind of getting at, yeah.
Well, I'm going on a charity mission.
What was Twin Peaks about, Darth Maul? Only David Lynch knows.
Indeed.
It's about
But it
the
was
gum
a
that you
growth
love coming
theme.
back in style.
If you have to ask, then you'll never know.
Yeah.
None of us know.
I think I remember him saying, because like the whole thing with him and was it ABC that had it on?
I thought it
'Cause
was
they were-
NBC, but
Was
maybe,
it
yeah.
NBC? Whichever one it was pushing for him to get to whoever did it.
Right.
And he's like, that's not the point of the show. Like,
And then everybody's like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
the point of the show is the gum that you like is coming back into style. No, I don't remember what he said. It was like basically like everybody in the town. It's like the whole point of it. Everybody's just as guilty as the guilty party and all that other. It's like, it's more of a, I don't know. How would you explain it, Script? It's kind of,
So it's
Character
got a little bit of
study.
a supernatural element to it. There was a bit that was actually really funny when Kyle MacLachlan was hosting Saturday Night Live. He quote unquote spoils the ending of Twin Peaks, and in the middle of his monologue, and it ends up facilitating David Lynch phoning up the head of NBC to pull Kyle off the monologue and bitch at him on the phone about spoiling the ending, and like he's saying, now I've got to change the whole point of the show.
oh, I don't remember that.
Oh God, it was hysterical.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
It's a surrealist dream.
But it was all a
scape.
bit because
I mean,
they,
it's-
it was
Yeah,
right
is it like a
before.
dream inside of a dream, or is it supernatural? Like, yeah, that was the whole
Like
thing.
you don't know. All you know is that Kyle MacLachlan is an agent investigating a murder, and nothing adds up.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
at the same time, it still adds up. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's a weird show, but they are re-releasing it. It has been released on DVD or Blu-ray, but it's getting re-released finally with the original film, because for the longest time you could only get the film from Criterion and it had been out of print. But it's kind of weird because they just announced this last week that it's coming out, the re-released version of the box set with the movie, Fire Walk with Me, and yeah, then this happens. So yeah, sad to see this. He will be missed. Too bad he didn't get to make any more movies. I know he's been sick for a while. This is another. This one I know I think he had.
Heavy
What do you?
smoker, I think.
Was it lung cancer or
emphysema and stuff
emphysema?
like that?
Yeah.
I'd read that he'd had to evacuate his house just a few days ago as well. So that was probably the.
That's too bad.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I hope the fire didn't make it worse. Well, it probably did, because I know that's what a lot of the people that have been talking to from down there. They're saying that this was strange because there was like a chemical, like, in the air that it felt like.
It's not just that. I mean, anybody who's been in a fire zone.
Well, right, but they said this one was different than normal, is what they were saying.
Bad enough normally.
Right. But like, I was trying to remember who said it, but they were like that you could they said could almost like smell a chemical in the air when you try to take a breath, it would just take your breath away.
Oh shit.
Well, there's an enormous amount of substances in celebrity homes and.
Well, you're not
even. Once it hit Jack Diddy's house, it was all over. You don't want to know how fire and baby oil combust.
And then powder, Colombian marching powder, and so on.
So let's see what you guys are saying out there in the chat. We got Beat Bop Boop says, I hope Trump will get studios to listen to us fans. Well, we're going to talk about that in just a second, Beat Bop Boop, so hang on to that thought. ActionCom says the sneeze in Superman 3 strike. Yeah, I always love that. I just watched Superman 3 like last week.
Yeah. It's not terrible. It's just you have to understand it's deliberately supposed to be a comedy.
Well, it's a comic book on top of it. It's the most comic book of all the Superman movies, really.
Nothing can beat Superman 4. What a movie.
Oh, yeah. I want Superman.
Canon films at their best.
Mm-hmm.
Where can we hide the money?
What do you mean there's no budget? I'm sure there was a budget around here somewhere.
Oh, shit.
That's
right. I totally forgot about this. This is how I know about Twin Peaks. Thank you, Mark, for reminding me of this. Twin Peaks, believe it or not, and this is how I can't believe you've never heard of it, Mike. It was Clobby's favorite place.
Wait, I do know about this. I was supposed to meet him. That's right. This is the joint that I was supposed to meet him at when I was driving across the country. And I left late. That's what this is. Though I have heard of it. Yes, he was supposed to take me there, and he had two girls lined up that were going to meet us there, and then I had to leave. I don't know what happened.
Oh, wow.
No,
that was two girls just for
Mike. He was like Godfather.
Okay, so Clobby may not have been the most in shape kind of guy, but he one time, and this is before I was going to meet to drive him. One time he was there and he called me from there and he had 2 or 3 of them. Says, and we're like, well, this chick's like, is this Mexican Iron Man? This is Brittany. Oh, yeah, I heard all about you. You're supposed to come visit. I'm like, fucking Clobby's got game.
Clobby has bad game. Are you kidding me?
Dude, he had bad game. And it didn't just happen once. It was multiple times just to show up, like, he's like, well, and he's like, I'm no Mexican Iron Man, but just hold on a second here. Someone wants to say hi to you. And he just passed the phone.
Do you know how many times I've heard Loki tell me about how he could just bat his little eyes?
Yes.
And the girls would just melt for him. And his little southern charm he'd turn on, he'd say.
Yeah.
No wonder he loved Twin Peaks.
See, Mike, you now have to go for Clobby. You have to go to one just for Clobby, just to go.
We'll have to do that, actually. If we ever get our meetup together, which hopefully will be sooner than later, we'll have to
Midnight's Edge
do that. Yeah, and Flying Blind and a Rocket Cycle says, watch the first season of Twin Peaks many years back, sorry. But never saw the second. I never caught the movie. I may get my chance now with the re-release. Well, there you go. Yeah, and it's not badly priced either for the entire series. So there you go. And then Pilgrim Media says, Tom, are you in fact a cheesehead? Yes, I am. Love the Dells. In fact, I don't live that far from the Dells. It's actually in very close proximity. Not like real close, but close enough, under an hour away. So there you go. And then Nelson Sharita says, was Jaws 2 where the shark got electrocuted? Yes, and he also ate the helicopter. Accident Seller sends in $100 or 100 Norwegian krona. I wish it was $100. SpaceX second booster catch a few hours ago was majestic. I saw that, and I saw that Elon had posted a thing with Mr. Miyagi. But the capsule blew up. Oh, no.
It did?
If Trump...
I stopped watching before that point.
I say I didn't see that. Yeah, if Trump's win wasn't enough to just wait until enraged TDS lefties see the debris shower delayed and rerouted their flights. Oh yeah, I didn't hear about that part of it.
What happened?
The capsule blew up on one of the SpaceX boosters. It looks like here.
Broke up. Yeah.
Hopefully nobody got hurt.
No, nobody would be hurt, but at least so far. But Elon did share an hour ago the debris falling to I guess the ground or coast or ocean, and it's tragic, but it's also kind of beautiful.
As long as nobody was hurt, that's fine. Yeah.
So
Accident
no injuries
sellers
reported.
Yeah, good. Accident seller sends in 50 Norwegian krona and says, "I'm sorry, Mexican Mike, Tonito Stark." Tonito Stark. Is that Tony in Spanish or Mexican?
Tonito.
Tonito?
Tonito. I mean, that's not how you would. It would be Antonio, but
I was gonna say Antonio, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd be Antonio Stark.
Thank you, accident seller. I have gotten nothing but awful. The only thing I've gotten is like, Mike, you look a little younger. But other than that, my decision to shave it's been a horrific disaster.
For those who are just listening and don't know what you're referring to, he says, but without the beard, you look just like a regular white guy. And then he corrected himself with another 20 Norwegian krona. You didn't have to do that. We knew what you meant, buddy. But thank you for that. And then, of course, we already got the one from Flying Blind. So thank you, guys. And yeah, it's sad news to kick things off here. Really sucks. But we actually got some good news. This sounds interesting. Trump named Sylvester Stallone, Mel Gibson, John Voight as special ambassadors to troubled Hollywood. They'll bring back lost business.
Oh, Jesus. What the hell? Did I miss a news day or what?
So are they ambassadors for him to Hollywood or ambassadors for Hollywood to something else?
Let's get into that.
What?
Okay, so President-elect Donald Trump is hoping to make Hollywood stronger than ever before by naming Sly, Mel, and John as special ambassadors whose goal will be to bring business to lost foreign countries. So what they'll do, and this is not a bad choice right here, because Mel and Sly are very well known outside the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
It is my honor to announce John Voight, Mel Gibson. Oh, I got to do it in Trump voice. It's my honor to announce John Voight, very good actor, Mel Gibson, excellent actor and director, and another writer, actor, director, Sylvester Stallone, you know, Rocky and Rambo, to the special ambassadors, to the great, it's the best, but it's troubled. Hollywood, they're in trouble. Not only are they burning, but the movies are getting woke. Yeah, no, I'm just making shit up.
You sound like an Italian Trump.
I'm getting very Italian.
They're burning bad.
Let me make you an offer I can't refuse. Trump wrote on Truth Social, they will serve as special envoys to me for the purpose of bringing Hollywood, which, let me make this bigger. That's part of the problem.
Embiggen it.
I'm embiggening it.
Oh, it's swollen now. Yeah, it's much
now
better.
It's very swollen. Anyway, bring business over the last 4 years to foreign countries back bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. These three very talented people will be my eyes and ears, and I will get done what they suggest. It will again be like the United States of America itself, the golden age of Hollywood. And yeah, I mean, movies used to be one of U.S.'s biggest exports.
So
should still be
guaranteed now to get 98% of Hollywood saying we don't want a golden age of Hollywood again. That's terrible.
Well, the irony is that all of those, what Trump was just announcing here that he wants, has already been in motion for the last year and a half in Hollywood. Like that's already done. Like the only holdout is Disney.
Like that's kind of where I was gonna go script with this. I was kind of go like, what do we need this for?
Why not? They could be there to amplify. Script is right. The wheels have been slowly in motion for stuff. These guys can now really rev up the engine on it. And that's
not really, no.
Why not? Why not?
Because everything works slowly in Hollywood. That's just the way it is. Like
okay, let me correct myself. This will rev up the engine ... for Hollywood. Is that better?
I don't even know what that means.
It means it's fast for them.
I doubt it, because again, the studios have already made the decision. What's Sly Stallone going to do? He's going to go to Paramount and be like, "Hey, yo, you know my kick-ass show Tulsa King? We should be doing more of that." And Paramount's already saying, "Yeah, we're trying to do that right now."
Yeah, but
like, there's nothing he can do.
Is there a component of this around bringing back productions to be actually made in Hollywood as opposed to, let's say, China or Eastern
Well, they don't
Europe
shoot in China,
or...
but they mostly shoot in Georgia and British Columbia and some parts in Ontario. If they want to bring productions back to California, which would not be necessarily a bad thing, they have to change the tax code of the state so that it becomes lucrative for them to shoot domestically. And the best part is that a lot of talent that lives in LA would love to be able to shoot in LA, and they can't because it's just too expensive.
I don't think this has anything to do with a lot of that. I think this has more to do with Hollywood and their image outside of the U.S. and getting us back to the way, and that's what I said, especially with Mel Gibson and Sly Stallone. That's where it makes sense to me. These two guys were two of the biggest guys in the 80s and 90s, not just nationally, but internationally. And there's a lot of markets where American movies are probably treated like shit. Not many, but I'm sure there are. And that's what they're out there doing. They're just out there to promote. Like, that's what it is. This really is. Let's be real. They're out there just trying to get all these film markets and other places to start paying attention more to American movies, boosting them up in their, their film markets and all that kind of stuff. And when you got somebody like Sly rubbing shoulders with you, that helps, right?
I
like
think
that's kind of what
Hollywood
it is.
doesn't need any boost in the film markets. They kill it out there every year.
Well, evidently Trump doesn't think they are.
No, he's talking about reputation with regards to domestic audiences. But when you go to the film market, again, the film market is pre-selling movies that are going to retain the windows of those theaters for that particular time window of the year. Hollywood nails it every single year. They always do. And it's the independents that struggle trying to book competitively to it, but they managed to pull it off as well. There's nothing wrong with the film market system.
I think this also has to do with Trump kind of giving a pat on the back reward to the guys that, even though they're Hollywood, they were sort of in his corner. Stallone, Gibson, and Voight have been the ones that they were just openly saying that they support him. And I think this is his way of saying, yeah, I like these guys. And he's kind of throwing them I don't know what,
he's always been buddy with Stallone. That dates back I think the 90s and 80s.
Yeah, Nick, I agree. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you totally. I think it's more, I think my reaction was because my accountant brain kicks on and like, why do we need this? And you know what it is? It's back. I think it's more like what Nick and Tom are talking about. It's more like PR namesake kind of stuff, more about cultural message type of stuff.
If that's the case, I mean, that's definitely what middle America needs a voice for.
I guess, Tom, what you guys are saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's more like a campaign, not an actual
right.
Yeah,
It's like a middle finger.
The international market that is needed with regards to Hollywood, it's still well revered internationally. With the only exception being that some films, mostly from Disney, do not resonate as well with the audiences as they would domestically, because Disney is not driven by the golden rule of Hollywood, which is, let's tell a compelling story. Because again, Disney stories are. They take ideological stuff and they completely remove the compelling nature of it so that it just becomes a pontification of the ideology, as opposed to, let's have you empathize with this person's plight and watch them overcome some sort of obstacle, as opposed to just dwelling on the obstacle, pointing at it, saying that's the problem, and providing no resolution, no victory, or no defeat over it. That is something that gives catharsis to the audience. Instead, the defeat is like, a hand waving of the writer or the director just saying, yep, the bad guy's now defeated because of their own follies. And you were right all along, strong, differently identified, undiscerned woman of possible color or not.
It's a middle finger to Hollywood. That's the main thing. He's like, these are my guys. They've supported me. Fuck you. That's what it looks like. But I don't mind it. I mean, it's fine that he's putting. We're reading a headline that he's saying this. He already got what he wanted. The fact that Variety have to write this article, even though the guy that's writing this for Variety is probably suffering as he types this, and that's what Trump wanted.
I mean, I'm mostly with you, Price, because I'm just saying, like, this is a very Trump thing to do. This is definitely just a Trump headline, right?
It doesn't hurt to have Mel on board. He's got a direct line to the big guy.
Well,
that's right.
Not only that, like David Zaslav's in Donald Trump's corner, like head of Warner Brothers Discovery.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say is, okay, hear me out again. Let me rephrase what I'm saying. and Mikey's more in line with what I'm getting at too. He gets where I'm coming from. We already know Hollywood's making a change. Like you said, outside of Disney, everybody else is trying to shift and change. But you know what? You may say that the markets are fine, but they're not. Hollywood has been down billions every year. It goes down more and more by billions, right? And that's not just a U.S. thing. That's an all over the world thing. That means people are turning away from movies in droves, right? Like we've been saying, but that's a problem in the U.S. as well, right? And the reason for that is the image of films. And when you got guys like Sylvester Stallone, Mel Gibson, and John Voight, which I agree also, like this is a big fuck you to Hollywood because the guy you're exactly right. The guy who wrote this is just fuming through the whole fucking thing. And have you seen the people on Twitter online? They don't even know what this means. And they're just freaking the fuck out. Right? Like that's the whole thing. It's like, how can they have this anti-fucking, you know, it's like.
It does mean these three can wine and dine and shake hands.
That's exactly what they're going to do.
Trump
yeah.
behind them as a name, right? As and you whether or not you like Trump, they have that now, right?
And I'll add one other thing too, which is that in an industry where people with moderate, let alone conservative viewpoints and perspectives are shunned and silenced, a move like this allows them to speak even more than they already have been.
True. Yeah, not just that. Let me give you another scenario. You have a lot of foreign countries that are probably like, well, fuck all this woke Hollywood shit. I'm going to go put my money elsewhere. So this is where Trump and Mikey knows where I'm coming from too. And guys like especially Sly and John and Mel are coming to play because these are money men too. They know a lot about money and they're probably going out there going, look, it's okay. It's safe now to reinvest into Hollywood, right? Like that's another thing that they're probably rubbing shoulders with. There are a lot of these, you know, big money guys who like to invest in Hollywood. And
there's not much of a shortage in that. I mean, Disney's not.
Is there? Are you sure?
Yes, because I'll tell you this: Disney's not spending $300 million of their own money when they're making Captain America.
This isn't about fucking Disney, though. That's just it.
This is about the fact that the money is there. The question is where is it going? It's not going to all the independent stuff. The studios are still doing it. Those same investors are still investing it internationally. Like, if anything, this is a PR thing domestically to say, hey, Middle America, you know the shows that some of these guys are in that you like watching? Well, now we're going to elevate them up to a higher status in the industry because you want them to be able to represent you to the people that make these shows, that make you get involved in that. Because the decline in box office globally is really just getting us back to pre-MCU numbers overall. Because all those billions of dollars accumulated over the years came from where? The MCU. So it's basically saying, oh, look at this. The market is kind of just adjusting for the fact that if Marvel can't be delivering these multi-billion-dollar movies a year at the global box office, and then you have the normal movies that are just kind of doing on the same metric of growth that they would without Marvel, then yeah, you're seeing a decline because Marvel and Disney is not putting out the quality that's generating that income, but everybody else is still kind of on point. Then all we're seeing is that one studio was gaming the system for a decade, and that now that they're not able to game that system anymore, things are going back to normal. So now Hollywood has to kind of re-strategize and rebudget with respects to what is the baseline going on out there.
Well, I think this is a great idea. So let's do this. I'll take all of Script Doctor's work and I'm going to go and tell these guys that I'm all on board with this appointment. Script, I'll kick you on the back end.
Okay, sure.
Just translate everything into Korean. They'll make great movies again.
Well, speaking of Korean, you got to go eat food, I guess.
Yeah, he has to slide out. So.
I do have to slide out, unfortunately. I've heard that dinner is ready, and I'm a growing lad. I need to eat. But just quick plug, Monday afternoon, 3 p.m. Mountain Time on my channel, we're doing Top Secret, Cult Comedy Crew on Top Secret.
Wow, that's
not a secret anymore.
Not a secret anymore. Shh. Skeet Surfing will be the song. And just started watching American Primeval, so I might be talking about that in a video soon. So it's actually not bad, I have to say, so far. So see you guys later. Have a great night.
Bye, 70s.
Cheers, everybody. Bye.
Take care.
Price hasn't said anything. What's Price think about it?
Yeah, and you kind of have a bit of a background. What is your feelings?
Bad idea, good idea, or irrelevant idea, or some combo?
Are you talking about this ambassador thing?
Yeah.
The whole thing.
I mean, I think that it's not going to make a big difference one way or another. It's more of one, I think it's rewarding the people that have been in his corner. The only person that I was surprised wasn't included here was James Woods, because out of the 4 sort of known veteran actors that were supporting him, he seemed to be the only one that's not mentioned along with these 3, which he could have been. The other thing is, I think that there was a lot of kind of effort to cancel these guys. I think that this is Trump's way of saying, like, no, I like these guys. You know, you want to cancel people? Like, I like these guys. He has a lot of power now. He got the popular vote. He got the electoral college. He got everything. You know, they have Congress. They have the House. So he's sort of putting his foot down. This is his way of just kind of, you know, it's more of a message from Trump. But I don't know if this message will accomplish anything or not. But at least he's showing that these actors have his public support, and you know, he doesn't consider them canceled.
One thing to consider is that up until I guess this morning, Mel Gibson, who did lose one of his houses in the fire, was considering not staying in California. This appointment might actually keep him in the state.
Are you serious? He was thinking about leaving?
Yeah.
Stallone already left for Florida.
Yes, Stallone's been gone for over a year.
California. I'm in the Florida now with the Florida man. Hey, could you give me a crocodile? Okay. Josh just said he's going to give you a crocodile.
Yeah, Sly's been in Florida now for like a year. That's why he's been hanging out at Mar-a-Lago all the time.
Yep.
All right. Well, it'll be interesting to see if anything comes of this. Let's see what you guys are talking about out there in the chat. Flying Blind on a Rocket Cycle sends in $5 and says, the funny thing is, I had initially misread the headline and thought they were ambassadors to Hollywood. It does seem like another country after all. Well, Mel is technically from another country.
No, he's from New York.
Well, I thought he was from Australia.
Nope. Born in New York, grew up in Australia, came back to the United States.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because he grew up watching the Three Stooges in New York, which is why we fell in love with them. And then he went to Australia.
Wow.
And then Bad Fish 419 sends in 5 and says, Tom, should I cancel my Kill Bill 4K pre-orders? I have them on DVD BR. I ordered because RMB said they were good, but you didn't seem to like them. I don't know what the fuck RMB was watching, because these are 2K up converts from they're the same thing as the Blu-ray. Like, I don't know what the fuck they did and why they did it, but my guess is that it had a 2K workflow, and that's the problem, is this movie looks like it was scanned back in 2004, which it was. And then they just throw it onto a fucking 4K disc and act like it's a new movie or a new scan or whatever. It's not. It looks exactly the same. So yeah, if you already have the standard Blu-ray in high def, then it's basically the same thing. The HDR doesn't even really bring out the color all that much more. This is the same problem they have with Inglourious Bastards. And it's the same problem a lot of movies from the last 20 fucking years plus have. And that is when they're done in a 2K workflow, it's only going to be in 2K 1080p. Doing it in 4K makes no good sense whatsoever unless you go back and rescan the film. Because when they did that back then, they scanned them back then with technology from back then. So it looks like shit. Now, Jackie Brown, on the other hand, since it had a complete analog workflow, being that it was from film to film to film, it looks amazing because they just went back to the negative and they scanned it. For some reason with Kill Bill, all they have is the digital version, and they just decided to release that for some reason, and that's it. So it's up to you on that part. Jackie Brown, though, looks amazing. So thank you much, guys, and that's what we had for Super Chats. There was, I think, one other story you guys brought up in the thing earlier or something? What was it?
Man, we spent the whole first hour with just, I don't think we've ever done a show where the first hour was just
we blazed that. Yeah, with death. Oh, here's a thing. Oh, another death. Oh, here's another thing. And then, yeah, we blazed a lot in an hour and 10. That was crazy.
Well, this is something I've been wanting to get to because I've gotten bombarded with messages about this.
All right, whip it out.
And I'm glad Script was able to make it because he'll be able to explain this once again for the many times that we have in the past. All right, so everybody's been going nuts going, did you hear? We're getting a Goonies 2 and a Gremlins 3.
Oh,
it was announced by Warner Brothers. Okay, well, this headline should tell you something. It's being planned. Actually, I like the one that was actually said the truth, and that was it's just in development. Let me tell you something, guys. Gremlins 3 has been in development for 35 fucking years.
Uh-oh.
You go in your Google and you just type it in, and you can go back every 4 or 5 years and find articles where they're talking about it, whether it's Joe Dante, Zach Galligan, some rando, you know, whoever it is. And same thing with Goonies. Every time they run into Sean Astin or Corey Feldman and ask him about it, they always say, yeah, we're working on a good, even on the commentary, I think for the movie, they talk about it with.
Yeah, one of the anniversary editions.
Yeah. And it's like this thing, I'll believe it the moment I finally see some footage or a picture of the cameras rolling on the cast and a gremlin is actually, you know what I mean? Like, then I'll believe it. Because at this point, this movie's been in development forever. So I don't know if I expressed it enough there, Script, but you've ran into this before where we've talked about this, where there's a big difference between greenlighting something into production and something that's been just that's in just development or active development.
Yeah. So basically, what it is that they've been spending the last 3 decades trying to figure out what is the best story we can do to follow up. Now, with every set of years that follow, like every 5 years or so, especially if there's regarding the original cast, specifically with Goonies, every time they hit that 5-year mark, they have to restart because the actors have aged up 5 years and they have to redo it over and over again. And when you've gone 3 decades, you're adding on 35 years on top of these 10 to 12-year-olds back in from the 80s, you basically have to reinvent the story every single way. So that's one of the reasons why the development has been so slow. If they do get the story, they can't do it fast enough to get all the scheduling involved. They can't get the director that they need. And then if the actors aren't available, then they got to push back until they are. And if that delay goes any further, then they realize, oh, great, we have to scrap this story because the kids are no longer college age anymore, and we can't cheat them to college age anymore. Now we got to tell a new story where they're adults.
Maybe they're grandkids by now. Yeah.
And then the other part is like, okay, well, if they're adults, where are they in the relationship or their families? How old are their kids? Okay, do we have to cast kid actors now? Great. Okay, so now we have to go out and find kid actors to try and put this thing together. And then again, if delays still happen, then those kid actors get tossed aside because they probably aged out of the roles. And then they got to rewrite the script and make them differently. It's just an ongoing issue when you're trying to have continuity with a sequel, and you just can't seem to nail it right away after the first one. Gremlins and Gremlins 2, the fact that they were released so close together by comparison is a miracle because Gremlins did so well. And then when they got Gremlins 2,
that's because Warner Brothers was good trying to do it right away after the first one. Yeah.
And then the other part too is what's funny is that Warner Brothers was trying to do the third one right after the second one on a reduced
budget. Even
though it bombed, but they wanted to do it on a reduced budget and they couldn't get it to work. And then Gremlins grew in cult aspect, did really well on home video, really well on when they did the DVD stuff.
They do test ground for it every few fucking years. They re-release the movies. They did that commercial almost 5 years ago now with Gizmo on the Super Bowl with Billy and all that stuff. They'll put stuff out there every few years and it sells pretty good merchandise wise. And it still has, but we're getting to a point like what Script just said. At this point, Billy would have fucking grandkids. The Goonies would have grandkids. I mean, unless you're going to do a reboot, like a complete remake, then it doesn't make any sense. And I don't want to see a remake of either properties. Goonies, on the other hand, has had so many movies in the vein of, right, that at this point it's kind of pointless. And I see Goonies a less of a chance than Gremlins. Gremlins is the one that still is in that arena of it could possibly happen, especially when Chris Columbus and other people and Chris Columbus has been working on this now for almost a decade too.
Yeah. And he hasn't been able to nail it. And
he has very little to do with the original. That's the thing. He wrote the original script, but they completely rewrote his script.
Oh, yeah. They lightened it up.
Yeah.
The other part, too, is Gremlins is one of those movies where it's really predicated on, well, what's the setting? So the first one was it's a small town. Second one was you're contained into a building of the future. Where do you go next? Like, do you do a cruise ship? Do you do an airplane? A train?
And they've come up with all those actually scripts.
Like they've done them all. And they're just trying to figure out, well, what's the one that works best, or what can we do? Like you're pretty much wondering, like, when are they going to do? Oh yeah, Gremlins in Los Angeles, and that's what caused the fire in the Palisades.
Vegas, like another one that
something
keeps
in
coming
Vegas
up,
or Florida at Disneyland. Like you don't know, or some sort of mockery of Disneyland. Again, they've experimented with them all in development over the last few decades, and for whatever reasons, they just don't work. And the reason Warner Brothers keeps announcing this stuff is that they're hoping that they'll be able to drum up enough interest so that even an idea that they have doubts for, they can be mitigated by the potential audience engagement with the announcement. And unfortunately, that engagement has not really grown with each subsequent announcement of them reportedly trying to develop these properties. It's like the metrics kind of stays consistent. Let's say it's the numbers like 2 million hits on the internet. Well, for the last 15 years since the internet's been prominent, every 5 years when they announce this, they get 2 million hits, and that's all they're getting. It's never getting anything higher, never anything more. So they're not looking at it as like something that would be worth the investment to go into a proper production and really lay down some big bucks to make this movie. Right now, what they're doing is they're having smaller meetings. They're doing pitches. They're probably commissioning some scripts for maybe 60 to 100 grand a pop, which is chump change compared to what the actual budget would be at the end of the day. But they're doing that because, again, when you take a look at something like Superman or The Flash, most of those variations had a few $1 million in investment for development, but Tim Burton's film was technically greenlit and then axed. And then a couple of the subsequent ones got really close to that, and then were also axed until you got to Superman Returns. Then you have The Flash, which was greenlit and then was redeveloped during production for almost 10 years. So fortunately for Gremlins and Goonies, they haven't crossed that threshold yet. But right now, they're stuck in that earlier stages of, well, what's going to be the story? What's going to be the script? And if we can't lock that down, even when we make announcements and we can't get engagement when we do announce that we're still working on this, what's the point of even pursuing it? And I would not be surprised if in 2030 we get another repeated announcement in the trades of Warner Brothers trying to do another new Gremlins and a Goonies 50 years later. Where are they?
Now, the reason this is popping up now again is because not only was Chris Columbus asked about it, but it was because it popped up on some leaked photo of Warner's like development schedule or development deal they got working, and they had all kind of stuff on there, but somebody happened to notice that Goonies and Gremlins were on there. And I'm just like, yeah, it's because they're two of their bigger properties. That doesn't necessarily, the Goonies has an anniversary this year for one.
Yeah.
And Gremlins 2 has its anniversary this year.
There's also another property on those boards. Lethal Weapon was one. They had Harry Potter on it. They've got Lord of the Rings. Like, it's a general slate that they have. They basically make a board of what's all the properties we have. What are the ones that aren't making us money right now that we could look at? And that's what they catalog and put up there. So Gremlins has been with Warner Brothers for decades. Of course, they're going to have it on every single slate because they're losing money when they're not making anything from it.
And not only that, that's something that I know that I remember hearing about Zaslav is that he was digging in through all of their IPs. And that's what I'm sure when they bring out because guess what else is coming? All those movies are coming. Well, Goonies has already been released on 4K, but they're doing a big re-release again this year for the anniversary. Gremlins 2 is coming to 4K this year. And Lethal Weapon is coming to 4K this year, and rumors are also Lethal Weapon 2, 3, and 4 will also come together in a box set. I guarantee you that's testing ground as well. All this shit is testing ground to see if it's still got enough punch for them to spend $100 million, $200 million on another movie in this franchise. At least with Goonies, it's a little cheaper. But I agree with what I put on the screen earlier. I forgot who said it, but yeah, basically Goonies 2 died with Richard Donner and Corey Feldman's fucking
mental state.
Mental state, basically. You're not wrong there. Yeah, at this point, that's where they're at. I mean, because any time, the time for that to happen was when Ki-Hu Kwan was like the hot thing 5 years ago or 4 years ago or whatever it was.
Everything Everywhere All at Once type of. Yeah. That was like 3 years ago, I think. Yeah, but
3 years ago. And
3 years ago. Jeez.
Yeah, and even then, it seemed like there wasn't enough fire behind it, and because he had been kind of like out of the loop, because otherwise the kid who plays Chunk, he's completely out of Hollywood.
He's a lawyer. He's an entertainment
he's a lawyer
lawyer
now. Yeah.
But what I will say is that Jonathan Ki Kwan, I don't know how Ki-Ho Kwan, what's his
something like that. Yeah, sorry.
It was initially I think Jonathan Kwan, but then he changed it to Ki-Ho Kwan or the vice versa. Regardless, the fact that he wasn't in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, that they didn't think of making a movie that included him.
Oh my God.
That was so stupid.
I still stand by you could have even used this almost the same exact script and it would have been a better movie as long as it was Short Round instead of fucking Fleabag. Yes. It would have made sense.
kind of agree with that. It wasn't the worst
Right.
script.
Because you just have it to where he was pissed at Indy because Indy put him in some boys' home after the events of Temple of Doom, which would
Right.
explain where he is in Raiders and Last Crusade.
Exactly.
And he now has his own little sidekick, right? The only change you would have to make is that his little sidekick gets shot or breaks his arm or something, because then that's where you have Short Round realize, oh shit, that's why Indy put me in there this whole time, and I shouldn't be selling these artifacts. I should be preserving him like he did. And there you go. There's your movie.
Or the
I
idea
will-
that. Sorry, go on, CC.
No, I just say one criticism I definitely have with that movie is once they got into the whole tomb raiding kind of thing, they really just rushed through it. Like they approach a bridge. Oh, let's just cross the bridge and not fall in the water. It didn't really have that creativity. Could have used a little polish there. But I agree with you otherwise. You know.
Yeah.
You change that.
I mean,
mood and you know.
that's. I mean, also I wouldn't have killed fucking Mutt.
Right. No, the best idea would have been, especially if they want to sideline Shia LaBeouf because they don't really like him and they just want to give him a reduced role. Maybe they bring Jonathan Kwan, the Short Round. He basically tells Indy that he was doing something, who knows where. They were looking for treasure. Him and Mutt has disappeared, and it forces Indy to get back on the saddle, and they both go looking for Mutt. That, I think, would have been a movie that everybody would have been okay with.
You could have done that. Otherwise, I was just fine. They just could have had it to where Mutt was just in the military as like a general, like, because just him and Indy weren't the same guy, right? Who says he has to be there? He's not necessarily going to be part of everything his dad's. Because look, I love my son, but him and I are polar opposites on most things, right? Not everything, but a lot of things. So, it's just sometimes your kid's not going to be into the same thing you are, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he just off doing something with racing or something else, something that he's into that had nothing to do with it. He was sent to Vietnam, so there was a good enough excuse to have him not in the film. But you didn't have to kill him,
right?
Yeah, he could have been part of the motor pool, like Sergeant Bilko.
Or you could have found a way to cameo, have a
a cameo. I think there would have been something at the end.
Well, that's where I think the end really fucked up, is not having him walk in the door and be alive still. That was like, it could have been at least.
Yeah, you know what? That would have been at least like, he didn't die. They got false information. He actually was alive. At least like it would have been a uplifting thing at the end, but they were never going to do that.
Yeah, he was in an internment camp with John McCain, and he got out and left that traitor behind.
for a start, you do change the beginning of the movie completely. You cut that crap out.
You have to change some few things. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, it would be minimal changes like that. I could do a script doctor episode like I did with Man of Steel, even easier than I did with Man of Steel on that. And that's really all I'd have to do. Just, first of all, you just say switch Short Round in this role, and then you just change this, and this, and that's it. Movie over. That's all you got to do. SFX 314 Sabretooth Raptor says with $10, the time for Goonies 2 was in the 90s to early 2000s. I agree. I don't see it happening now. If there is a remake or reboot, don't recreate it beat for beat. Maybe do a story based on the NES Goonies 2. You could always do an animated version of it. That I wouldn't have a problem with, because then you could just recast the kids with different voices and still have them be kids. But like, you're right. Like, the time to do it either would have been them in high school / college age, like Script said, and or the point where their kids would have been the same age as them. And that point has long passed, because now we're at this point now where maybe you could fudge it to where their grandkids are the age they were at the original film, but they're still a little young, probably.
They're still a little young. Yeah.
Yeah. It's at that wonky period again, where it's just like, and who wants to see a bunch of grandfather fucking Goonies running around in a movie with their grandkids?
Well, you don't even have to do that. I mean, truth be told, the Goonies is really about kids in that neighborhood, in that area.
Yes.
You don't technically need that original cast back. You just need another legend around the Goonies.
But then it's like a fucking straight to video sequel, though. Script. That's my problem with
that.
that.
It would sound a lot like that. Yes. But I mean, that's the gimmick of the Goonies, is like, the story of the Goonies is that there's a hidden pirate ship somewhere in the area, and we want to find it before we have to move away. Well, now you just need to find another legend in there for the Goonies to work, and you just do a different story of adventure. But you don't need the same kids, you don't need the same cast anymore. It's the myth of the neighborhood, so to speak. Like, that would be the only angle you get to do.
But at that point, you might as well just remake it then, otherwise too, if it's not just some straight to streaming sequel. And the only other reason that they're seriously considering this right now, right, is fucking Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
I agree with the super chat though. Like in the 90s, 2000s,
That's
we
about the
grew up
last
on the
time,
first
yeah.
Goonies movie, and every one of us, my friends and I, would have jumped at the chance to go see Goonies too. I don't know if that's the same thing now, but back then it was the case. We would have gone to see would have the first.
The
movie
time
we'd
to
have
do
gone
it would have
and
been
seen.
then, and especially right after Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
because Sean Astin was at his peak, and because none of the other kids in that cast. That's what I'm saying. Like Josh Brolin, like what? Like, does Martha Plimpton even act anymore? Like, I don't even think what's her face, the other chick, either does. Yeah. So anyhow, I don't know. Goonies, just exactly nostalgia bait bullshit. I don't want it. Don't need it. Let's get something more original.
Well, I mean, you could write an original movie not called Goonies with a similar concept.
Yeah,
exactly.
Something influenced by the Goonies.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. They don't want
We
that
used to do
because
that.
they are taught. They want to play it safe. Well, this is the name. It's got the built-in audience.
Guess
All
what?
their
Clint Eastwood
dumb
and John Wayne
garbage
made the same
excuses.
movie 500 times.
I wouldn't even say that about Penguin. I was watching Penguin with my dad over Christmas, and I had to turn to him and was like, and I was like, this is somebody had a good idea for a TV show, and the only way to get it made was to put Batman on it. I mean, you take Batman out of the Penguin show, and it's a standalone new idea. Honestly,
I'm sorry, Nick, you were talking. I didn't mean
It's
it.
fine. It's not a big deal. I don't lose sleep over that stuff. This crazy flawed concept of the built-in audience is like, yeah, once upon a time, all those franchises didn't have a built-in audience either. Those things had to go out and earn fans and hope for the best. You didn't land with every single thing, but the things that you did, obviously, some became one and done, some became franchises. And that's okay. Not every single thing needs to land. They need to have fresh ideas, have a place for that, and have a places where stories can have a longer form of storytelling via sequels or spin-offs or anthologies. You get the idea. There needs to be that. Instead, we're just overbalancing everything with sequel. Oh, here's the occasional original movie. Or obviously, our Bud 70s is covering the Korean market as well. I think America needs to learn a little bit from the Korean markets on, hey, let's shoot for the stars and try some new things. Let's give the young generation their Star Wars, their Godfather, their Jaws, the thing that could be, this is our thing coming up in the world, rather than say, hey, just take our sloppy seconds because that's all you're good for.
Well, first things first, they need to rebuild the movie star. That's the first thing they got to do.
Agreed.
And that's where, like I say right now, like you got somebody like a Jason Statham. The reason they work still and why they're a big deal is because you don't go to a Jason Statham movie because it's a sequel to whatever other movie it was usually. You go to it because you know exactly what to expect when you go into a Jason Statham movie.
Damn right.
When you see the beekeeper, you know what to expect. When you see the mechanic, you know what to expect. When you see whatever other Expendables, Transporter, whatever, you know exactly what to fucking expect.
Crank. Yep.
Sometimes you get a few surprises. That's great. Crank would be one of those great examples right there. That's a little bit outside the box, right? But guess what? It's great. So that's all that matters. And that's the problem. Hollywood needs to reinvent itself. They're practically got to reinvent the wheel again. And it's their own fucking faults. The few you got, like your Chalamets and your Zendayas and whatever, they're not going to get you in through this next decade. Chalamet is going to do great in your biopics and your fucking whatevers here and there. But he's not going to be no Schwarzenegger or Stallone. They forgot they need those kind of guys. They forgot they need a John Wayne. They need a Clint Eastwood.
They need a Statham. That's perfect too,
Exactly.
because Statham's ripped, does badass things like the guys like, and I know women who love Statham. Obviously, Six, I think, is kind of hinting at that too. But I have talked to several women in different circles, whether it's like normie circles or preppier circles, gothier circles. They all love Statham. It's kind of got that Jason Momoa thing that men and women have things that they can appreciate about him. So why they're not capitalizing on more of those types of guys, fine. Sure, you won't get the greatest acting talent, but you get guys who are charming and have what's the word here? Not enthusiasm. Frick, I just lost my
Charisma.
Charisma. Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
Well,
you
and
got
that's
guys
the
with
thing
charisma. And sometimes charisma can make up for a lot of things when the movie is very entertaining.
Well, and then that's the next step. Then after that is once you reestablish the movie stars, that's when you can be able to get more experimental. Because sadly, yeah, they're stuck in this rut right now where they've created, this bubble of we got to have X amount of movies out that are IP driven, comic book driven, what have you, sequel. When that used to be the exception and not everything, right? Like they would put out 2 to 4 tentpole sequels / movies like that every year based on an IP. And then the rest of their movies were smaller, mid-level stuff that if it would hit big, that's what would, be their winners. And they don't do that. I mean, they do for streaming and they do some other things. Don't get me wrong, is, before Script jumps in and says, well, they do, but we just don't get to notice them because you're not wrong.
Well, yeah, I mean, Hollywood
they need
always,
to reestablish the movie star though, so that we can do things like that again.
Well, I mean, yeah, because the percentage of original films in Hollywood has always been small because they always adapt something else. The difference being is that a lot of the stuff that they adapt, most of the audience doesn't realize, and it's an adaptation of something else. Like, for instance, your television shows to feature films or your comic book IP to feature films, that's a bit more in the zeitgeist. People are like, oh, yeah, it's an Iron Man movie. I know of Iron Man.
I'm not referring to like books and
stuff.
But
you do like a John Grisham book. Like most people are not going to realize it's a John Grisham book first before it's an adaptation of that book. Like that's where you'll be like, oh, an original mystery about lawyers. Okay, cool. Oh, and then they find out after the fact, oh, it's based off of one of John Grisham novels. Or, I remember there's a lot of people that had no idea that The Mist was based off a Stephen King novel until they saw the proper trailer and then the poster that said, based off of Stephen King's novel of the same name. Because again, they were looking at, the announcement of the title and what is it? And, it's got this cast in there. And then all of a sudden there's Stephen King's name's like, it's based off of a book. Okay, cool. That's how it usually was perceived most from the general audience a lot of the times. But what really killed it, I mean, it's Hollywood has to find a way to basically take the reins of social media away from the social media influencers and make a movie star be a role model that is far more appealing and far more nurturing than Kim Kardashian and Kylie Jenner and Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet and all those people.
Right. Which is why I think
a huge endeavor. Yeah.
I think that the internet is trying to make like Sweeney and Powell kind of because they're naturally trying to make them. It's not the studios trying to shove them down their throats so much like a Zendaya or whoever. But anyhow, that being said, I think that's the one big thing they got to get over. They got to try to figure that out. Once they do, they'll be fine. I know they're going to struggle for a while. They're going to try and think video games are the next thing, and then they're going to fuck that up again as they always do. Then who knows what they'll pick next, But no, when I say like old school, that's what I mean. Script, exactly that. Where books and original scripts used to kind of run in tandem, right? Like you used to have like it's either based on a book or whatever. But yes, I'm referring to when I say IP driven shit, I'm talking about stuff based on a video game, a comic book, a previously already done franchise,
like a higher tier IP as opposed to
higher tier IP.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's too much of that.
We need to get back to more of the John Grisham novels and the fucking Michael Crichton novels and stuff like that. That's when Hollywood used to actually invent stuff, because then they would read those books and go, how the fuck are we going to do this? Right? Like that's
like to your point, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of that stuff is still done, but it's all going to streaming instead of hitting the theatrical market. And I think that's a waste, because if you had good marketers that knew how to do proper sensational campaigns, people would actually show up for those films and actually go see them. But now you have the convenience of streaming. And that's the other part too, is how do you compete with convenience? People like the comfort of their homes more than they like going out in public. I mean, we've seen that to be proven the case, not just with part of the condition from the pandemic, but also that was the area it was kind of going to, because what was happening the 5 years leading up to the pandemic? Well, box office is inflated with all your bigger tentpole movies, but all your kind of artistic films, your more cinematic stories that would normally get a decent box office were in the decline. Because why? Well, people would rather spend their time and money on the big, exciting tentpole film and then wait on streaming or home video for the more artistic stuff. Because if you're renting a movie for, let's say, on a video on demand, or when you used to rent movies before, it'd be like $5 to $6 for the movie. That's a lot cheaper than the $20 a ticket for a family. And when you're dealing with streaming, you're looking at, okay, $10 a month for 30 odd days of movies at my disposal, most of which will be from theaters like 3 months ago. That's a better bargain than, gas, concessions, tickets, and parking for a night out.
And it's getting less than that because, and the reason I brought this up, you actually kind of led into it perfectly. Here's Focus Features shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Why the fuck are you pulling Nosferatu out of the theaters this week and putting it on streaming next Tuesday, or video on demand, I should say? This is the biggest fucking problem. And this is their highest grossing film right now at Focus Features. And they're like, we're going to yank it.
Dude, they have a chance of making 100 million stateside alone, and they're going to yank it.
I don't understand this because they should have some kind of built-in, because what this is all about, for those who don't understand, is Universal has a set amount of days ever since the COVID thing and when they fucked up with Trolls 2 and the theaters threatened to no longer carry Universal Pictures. They have made this deal where, okay, every Universal movie goes to streaming in 36 days, and evidently every Focus Feature film goes to streaming in like 18 days. Or 20-some days, because this movie came out on Christmas. It didn't even open up until after the first in some markets. And here it'll already be on video on demand by next week. They should have something built in that if a movie hits a certain plateau or a certain percentage, keep the bastard in theaters till 90 days or 60 days. This makes absolutely no fucking sense. And because that's why Twisters got pulled early too, because of Universal.
Well, here's the question you have to ask yourself. How did they end up having to renegotiate their percentages with the theaters because they screwed up so bad? Because if the theaters are now taking a higher percentage of their tickets, it's in Universal's best interest to pull out of that within a relative time so that they can get their video on demand and streaming revenue in.
I think you're 100% correct.
That makes mathematical sense. I mean, that makes,
because it'll already be on Peacock by February.
Yeah. Which means that the Peacock subscriptions will be allotted to the revenue of that film. Because again, if they said, okay, if the theater said, you ever do that to us again, we're never running a film. So Universal said, fine, then we'll put them in movies. You'll have at the higher percentage. Thank you very much. But we reserve the right to pull them out at these X dates afterwards, which means that the theaters still get their high take as if it would be a 2-month run. But because it's an earlier withdrawal, Universal can then claim within that business quarter X revenue amount for basically paying against their investment. So.
And I've been kind of hearing that this is basically what's killing DVD and Blu-ray sales. Because what they're doing, and like you were just saying, Script, is a family would rather sit at home because they know within a month now, not 3 months, not 6 months, a month, they'll be able to get it on Vudu, Amazon, Apple, wherever your streaming service, wherever you buy your streaming movies from, if you do. For $20-$25, depending on whatever it costs. And like you said, then you don't have to deal with the popcorn. You don't have to deal with the kids and their bullshit and all that other shit. And
for like the price of a small popcorn at a movie theater, you could buy a box of like Orville Redenbacher microwave popcorn and then some.
And these have been doing very well. And I think you're 100% right. Because on the streaming service, I think from what I heard is they only pay, I think Apple gets the most of all of them, of course. But I think like Vudu and Amazon only get a couple bucks compared to what Universal or whoever owns the movie gets when it comes to the VOD. So they're raking in a lot of cash from these.
Yeah, Universal has a higher deal. Apple has an interesting deal with Paramount and Skydance because they have actually a few of their stuff over there first, and then it goes to Paramount Plus.
I'm not talking about their streaming service. I'm just talking about video on demand when it hits video on demand.
When they do their like the rentals. Yeah, absolutely. But no, my theory is that, they renegotiated a deal that's more lucrative for the theaters for the theatrical run. And that's why that Universal is the only studio that's pulling out earlier than the normal typical 3-month window.
Well, let's even be generous. Okay. Cause like you pay $24.99 or whatever, usually when one of these movies comes out to buy it on your, physical, long-term lease it on your digital service. Okay. So like if, Vudu or Amazon keeps $5, $10, Universal's still clearing $15 cash.
Yeah.
Makes sense, don't it, Mikey?
Total makes sense. I do think, however, if it's true that their test screenings went well. Let's just say they went well, though, is that I would have done a much better marketing campaign. I'm going to tell you the only reason this movie was even on my radar screen is because you and Andre did what you did.
They were smart with their advertising campaign in a weird way,
I didn't
Mike.
see jack shit anywhere about this movie.
Until the week it came out. They pumped all their money that last week, and then they let word of mouth carry it through. And this movie could have made them a lot more money than this. This is just
I saw it
dumb.
twice.
Yeah.
How often do I do that?
Thank you, Six, for bringing that to our attention. And, oh, look at this. The man, and this is why I knew it was ABC. This is what I thought. The man who fucked up Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
I even did the research to him. I'm like, isn't he the one who fucked it up? And sure as shit, I have a story come up. The time Bob Iger ruined season 2 of Twin Peaks. So yeah, he had
Writing
the
was on the wall.
the balls to come out and say something. You fucker. You fucking
Come on, why would he not?
weatherman.
This is Bob. This is our man. How could he
Fucking
resist?
weatherman.
Come on, dude. How could Bob Iger resist? Come on.
Think he took a shower in the office after this?
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, the then ABC president disagreed with co-creator David Lynch over whether to reveal the show's fundamental mystery. So Bob wanted to know.
He's like, you don't tell me, I'm canceling the show.
Because wasn't that in one of his books or something like that? That's why I remember that. I'm like, I
Ride of a
swear it had to be
Lifetime?
ABC.
Probably, yeah.
I think so, because he said something about at the time when it happened, it was the biggest deal in television, because he even had other TV execs bugging him about it, wanting to know or something. Like, I swear I remember reading that. It may have been in the book or it may have been somewhere else, but like, yeah. Fucker. Fuck you, Bob. Can I get a dang it, Bob, Mike?
dang it, Bob.
Thank you.
That was a really clean one, too. That's good clip.
That made me feel good. I'm going to clip that one, yeah.
That's what I
All
do.
right, let's get it.
That's why I'm here.
Let's get out of here. That was a good way to wrap things up, to say, fuck you, Bob.
Yeah,
I don't
nice
understand.
bike
Like,
show.
can he just not help himself, this fucking guy?
No, he doesn't know when to shut the fuck up.
Like, of all the things for him to open his mouth about, like, literally of everything.
So yeah, it was in the book.
I mean,
That's
what
what
an
I thought. Okay.
egotistical fuck. You know what I mean? Like, whatever.
I'm taking credit for fucking up the greatest show on television in the 90s. Dirt.
Do-do-do.
And then 20 years later, I'm going to fuck up Star Wars. You just wait. And then hold my beer. Check out Marvel.
Start of a long career of fuck ups.
Ride of a lifetime, all right. We're the ones taking the ride.
I'm going to buy Mikey's beloved Star Wars and jack it up.
Wow. Fucking I can't wait to get that fucking Twin Peaks box set when it comes out. I mean, like I said, it's already technically out if you guys want to get it now without the movie, but February, I think it comes out with the movie. So anyhow, with that script, what you got coming up?
Well, I'll be on Price's show tonight with Quantum Leap Revisited. I'm going to be reviewing a very interesting, controversial type episode. And then this Saturday, Scripts on Saturdays, where I'll be reviewing Howl, which is a script about an actor who goes on late night live television and claims that when the full moon comes out tonight, he will turn into a werewolf. So well, I'm curious to see how that plays out.
I swear I've heard of this script before. How long has this one been around?
This one came out it came out this year. It started circulating in November of last year, but it actually,
no, that's not the one I was thinking of. Though.
No, but it's a very similar type of plot because it's simple to that Late Night with the Devil, and it's also similar to a Barney Miller episode.
I was gonna say, the Barney, maybe that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
where the guy claimed but also I remember one where he's trying to get like TV cameras and everything because he's gonna change it at the midnight or whatever it was.
I think there's another sitcom I think that was doing that too, but I can't remember what it was.
Was it Night Court or?
I think it might have been Night Court because that sounds like a Night Court
so.
thing.
But yeah, I do remember the Barney Miller one too. Yeah, Jeremy Winfield has been a member for 19 months. Says you need to update your member emojis, Tom. I do. Oh yeah, I'll get on that. I'll try to remember to do something.
I just started doing that this week.
I think we're only allowed 5 badges though. I think unless they added more, I'll have to check. But yeah, it's about time we updated them. Price, what you got going on? You got Quantum Leap show later?
Yeah, Quantum Leap
Or
at
did you-
10 p.m. Quantum Leap on my live stream channel, and then at 11:45 p.m. there's the Night Owl with Professor R2 and sometimes Sean, sometimes even you.
Yeah, I do pop in from time to time. Did you get to finish script? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I finished. We're good.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
All
no
right,
worries.
and so check out Late Show and the Quantum Leap show where scripts does usually show up. So there you go. Which episode are you doing tonight?
It's the one where he gets served grapes.
I like grapes.
I don't think that's the grapes we're talking about.
Oh my!
It's
What?
like
On a
it's
very
a word that I
special
don't want to use
episode?
on YouTube. Yeah,
Grapefruits.
You know, that's another one we can use. It's a very special episode.
it's a very special episode.
Is that what
yeah.
always happened when they would have that on TV?
I love
Tonight,
eating
on a
grapes.
very special episode. Not those kind of grapes, Mike.
Sometimes I feel like you guys are talking about something and it's not what you're talking about, but it's what you're talking about.
Yes.
That's why we're whispering.
Okay.
All right, what do you got going on, Nick? Are you going to be on TNT later? Or, Thursday Night Throwdown.
I will be on TNT. That's true. In an hour, that'll be fun. I did a video yesterday talk about my thoughts on the Daredevil Born Again trailer, so do watch that.
Oh yeah,
I do know my Daredevil, so if there's a few of us in a sphere that we know are Matt Murdock, and I like to think that I'm one of them. So do check that out. Klobby's Comic Shop tomorrow night. Debo will be our guest. We'll continue our reading and review of classics ASM. Toxic Tuesday next week, Mr. Steven Naughton, Deleted Scenes, will be joining us as we talk The Equalizer 3. And Saturday night, I'll also be on Zax's channel, which that should be fun on his Saturday show. So shout out to Zax, which it's been a long time since I've hung out with them, so that'll be fun. So yeah, a good show tonight and good to hang out with the boys, and I look forward to doing it many more. Thank you for having me, and I hope to see the chat on my chat or here or in comics or all of the above soon. Thank you.
awesome sauce. CC, you gonna be doing anything soon or just working on your channel?
I'm gonna make some food and sleep. It's been a long week. I think I got most of the shit done. So yeah, I'm gonna try and clear my head a little bit. Maybe play some video games or something.
I hear you. I don't blame you either, considering. So hopefully everything gets better for you, man.
Oh yeah.
Maybe
hopefully.
we'll have to do an Okie stream soon just to have some fun.
Just need a place to host it. I don't have the subscription to
Price might be able to
StreamYard.
help
Or
us out with that.
maybe I can do it. Maybe this Friday.
I was gonna say,
will,
yeah,
Yeah.
will you be available
I
this
don't know
Friday,
what.
CC?
Yeah.
karaoke.
I'm in a mood like I want to get that singing energy out. So
You need a subscription for karaoke?
well, the
Well,
StreamYard restream, it costs money, right? A lot of money.
You can use my account. I have like pro StreamYard. I have like 5-6 channels. Like I'll give you access. Just I'll make you an admin and you can use my stream thing. You just got to do it to your account and all that crap.
The only issue is that I'm not sure if StreamYard works well with karaoke, because I once tried it and it didn't work well.
Well, Price, you're on OBS now, right? You're not like so you're
He
on
uses Restream, I think.
Yeah.
I use Restream, yeah.
How come
Which
the
is what
audio
you used
sounds
to use.
better on Restream than it does on StreamYard?
I don't know. You
Because
Restream it
Restream's
does.
better than Restream is
Because
just
I asked the people at StreamYard to fix that shit, and they said, "Oh, we have no control over that. That's Google." I'm like, "You lying motherfuckers!" And how come everybody
That's
else can?
bullshit. The audio definitely sounds better on Restream than
Oh,
It
yeah.
does.
Because they
I've got pro StreamYard and the audio does not sound as good as when I've done Restream.
And yes, we have premium StreamYard. It will play like stereo, like now. Like I can play like the.
So, what kind of dumb shit did Grace say this week?
And it comes through in stereo. That part's fine. But now if I share a window, it will not play it in stereo, and there's
Right,
too much
that's
of a
what I mean.
delay.
Yeah.
Too much of a delay to do karaoke. Now
Right.
Restream has fixed that, and there's a couple others that do well with that.
So
but
you need
yeah,
a Restream. You need a
Yeah.
Restream. But I thought Restream costs like real money.
it does cost a little bit of
no,
money.
it's
And that's
actually
what
cheaper
CC's
than
saying.
StreamYard. That's the joke. You guys all got to fucking switch over. That's certainly not more.
Yeah. Because I go, where's the stereo? You guys said you were going to fix it. It's like, it does. It's like, yeah, I can do it, but I can't do it through a pass through on, like, if I'm playing something through YouTube or anything. And they're like, well, we don't control that. I'm like, you lying motherfuckers. Anyway, Mike, you got something going on you want to do?
I am leaving South Carolina to go to Southern California. Max has a concert next week. He got into this international, the NAM. You know what that is? The national.
Oh,
the
NAM.
NAM, Nick, you know what that is?
I know exactly what NAM is. That's where a bunch of the musicians get together from like metal and rock bands. They show up upcoming gear. And I have a few friends who go to that every year. It's late January every single year in California.
It's the largest thing on the planet. And last year, Max got selected with his little kids band. His kids band, he had a second band, but his first band kind of blew apart, and the second band also got selected, so he got invited back. So I'm
a great vocalist, man.
I'm gonna spend more money next week in 5 days than I can physically humanly imagine.
Are those the videos you have up on your YouTube channel that you're not?
That kid can sing and perform. You like.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go out there. I am this close to breaking my rule of becoming a YouTuber just so I can stream for cash for this thing. Because tax season has not started, and I'm on vapor till February 1st. But we'll see. Anyway, so I'm going to that.
Reminds me.
Then after he's done with that, I'm going to stay in California and go see all my clients. And I think there is a community in LA that's no one's talking about, and that has real need out there. And that would be at Plan B and Spearmint Rhino strip clubs. Who is standing up for the needs of strippers in these difficult, challenging times in LA?
And with that, we'll see you guys next time.
Are we doing a Sunday show?
Yeah, I think so. By
the way, your guys' Sunday show was amazing. I heard.
I don't know what I'm going to do yet.
I'm ready.
Nick, that Sunday show, Tom, was freaking awesome. I heard the replay while I was working yesterday.
It was kind of fun. We'll see what we come up with. All right, guys, get ready for our new outro. Thank you so much.
Woo!
Bye-sies.
Cute kitty.
Available now for the first time ever on DVD from Midnight's Edge After Dark Productions. It's My Two Dads, the complete first season starring Mexican Iron Man Tom Connors and Culture Casino. Available now for $19.99 while supplies last.